This one is for you, Grandad, you absolute legend. Hi guys, and welcome back to SwitchUp. As you know, each and every week we go through the best sales, and this week is probably one of the best I've seen in a long time. It feels a little bit odd making a video, so you'll have to bear with me, but it feels slightly cathartic, and quite frankly, if it hadn't been for my granddad, then there's no chance I'd be doing this, and he'd want me to crack on. He'd probably clip me round the ear if I decided to take the day off. So with that said, what's on sale? Well, let's find out. First up is the absolutely sublime Spiritfarer. This is currently its lowest ever price, 50% off, but it only goes on for another 30 hours. You must pick this one up really quickly. It's £11.89. Now, even if you don't manage to get it on sale, this is one of those games you should own from Thunder Lotus Games. They've also just released, I believe, a massive expansion for it. There were a couple of free expansions that have dropped since it launched, and this new Beverly update introduces the new spirit character Beverly and adds new buildings for your boat, new collectible items, and loads of other quality of life improvements. It's a lovely game, really lovely and well worth owning. It has a download size of 6.4 gigs and should be owned. One of my absolute favourite games on Switch, and you will definitely know that I'm a huge space nerd if you've watched the channel for any length of time, and it's Everspace the Stellar Edition. This is its lowest ever price at half price. It's £17.99 or your regional equivalent, and it's a brilliant game. It's so good. It is a roguelite, but it does it in a very similar way actually to something like Hades, where the story plays out over several runs. It's a very successful formula in that game because it just keeps you going back for more, and it's so good here. There are several different difficulty modes. It looks great, and there are also DLCs added to this one, which add in a new ship and side missions, etc. If you ever played the Galaxy on Fire games back on mobile, it's from those developers, but I plumbed so many hours into them, and they're just really good games. So yeah, this is a very excellent title, and you should own it. It's 50% off until September the 13th. Oh, and it's only 4 gigs. Finally, down to a price that I would be happy to pay for it, we've got Journey to the Savage Planet, which is 60% off, taking it down to £9.99. As the previous sentiment told you, I absolutely love anything that's in space, but this one has a very sardonic wit about it. The writing's excellent, and there's certainly more than a nod to certain aspects of Fallout. You can play through the whole thing as well online with the PAL, which really does heighten the experience if you're able to, and it's certainly got more than a little feels of No Man's Sky about it, except everything's handcrafted and curated here. Visually, it's okay on Switch. I mean, it's the Switch version, definitely. There are a couple of performance stutters, but as I say, for 60% off, I think it's worth it, and I think you'll have a good time. You're looking at around about 10 to 20 hours to complete it fully, and it's a 3.9 gigabyte download. Then we've got the excellent Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Now, when this launched on Switch, it had numerous issues. Chief among them was a latency problem that caused every action you did in the game to be significantly delayed. This has been patched since launch, as well as a number of other things fixed. It's not perfect. Look, there are still minor bugs that you'll find in the game, and I think a couple of people have found some more significant ones. But for my personal experience, it's been so much better than it was at launch. For 50% off, taking it down to 17 quid, it's a Metroidvania well worth playing. It's set in 18th century England, although you might be slightly surprised by that, at how it starts and some of the levels. And there's collecting things, crafting, all the usual array of Metroidvania elements like unlocking new skills to get to new areas, and some of the most brutal boss fights. I really like it. I think for this price it's now worth it, and it's 7.2 gigs. A lot of people get quite funny that Vigil the Longest Night hasn't got more praise, because they're playing it right now that it's in pretty decent condition, but loads of us played it at launch when it was a mess, and yeah, it's very good. If you like Salt and Sanctuary, you'll like this. There are 4 different types of weapons, but each one of them has very unique attacks, and you kind of have to learn each one of them. There are lots of quest lines to follow. I like this art style personally. I mean, it does have a little bit of that flash animation style to it, but it feels very responsive, and it's just a fun game to play. It's got a great soundtrack, a really nice atmosphere, and yeah, I'd recommend picking this one up now. It's 40% off, that's £11.99, and that goes on until September the 19th. It's a 5.2 gigabyte download.
Not once, nor twice, but 3 times without number. I will find my sister, free May from the darkness, and forever end this world.
We all have different opinions about whether you should release a game when it's not finished or not, and you know what happens next, but I must admit I do get a real kick when I go back to a game and it's so improved since launch. And Ghostrunner was one of those that I visited in an all patched up video, and it is night and day difference. I think the term night and day was created for this, and it's well worth playing now. Now you may say to yourself, well, I don't want to support the developer because they released it in a bad state, but you know, there are all different pressures that we don't know about. Ghostrunner now is a very good game. It's 60% off, it's £9.99 or your regional equivalent, and it's all about precise timing, chaining together loads of kills. It's like a one hit and you die, but you can deflect weapons with your katana. It's just glorious. I mean, what a better mix than ninjas and cyberpunk. There are a couple of DLC packs available for that one as well if you're interested. Now this one's 8.8 gigabytes, and yeah, it has been all patched up.
Dharma City. This means we'll need to get out of the base district.
Then we've got the kids pick for the week, and it's not a kids game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one that they're able to play, and it's Riptide GP Renegade. Now this has 1 to 4 player split screen, which is great fun for the family, and you can accidentally go really slow to let people go past you if needs be. There's also a career mode here. It might not look the best, but if you remember classics like Wave Race, this certainly channels its inner Wave Race, and at £2.99, my goodness, that is an absolute bargain. It's also only 279 megs. So if your SD card is weeping from its socket, then consider picking this one up. There's no way that you'd look at this hidden gem and say, that game looks like one of the best games ever made. But let me tell you, it is incredible, and it's Horus. Now this scored 10 out of 10s across the board. It even got 100% in some places. Unfortunately, we didn't get a review code at the time, and I had to, well, I didn't have to buy it, but I really wanted to buy it afterwards. And it's as good as people say. It was developed by Paul Hellman, and despite the look of it, it manages to really encapsulate nostalgia into one experience with some brilliant platforming and just really clever game design. It's just so enjoyable to play. This is definitely the hidden gem of the week. It's a 5.8 gigabyte download, and you're looking at about 20 to 25 hours of gameplay if you play at my kind of pace. It's 50% off, well worth it, and that's until September the 9th.
Platformers.
Well, people certainly seem to like me. Video game.
In a world turned upside down, experience an adventure that will test your skills and touch your heart.
The adults pick then, and I guess this could be another hidden gem really. It's called Supraland. It comes from Humble Games, and it describes itself as a sandbox adventure where you're trying to save your village, and it's essentially a big open world puzzler with a bit of action thrown in as well and some platforming. Despite the cutesy visuals, it's definitely tougher than it looks, and it's a very cool how sometimes you can see the people that play with these toys, like they'll look over the edge, and it gives it a real sense of scale. It's very cool. It's also quite long. It's about, well, it took me about 20, maybe 25 hours to finish, but yeah, you could certainly spend a longer time in this world. And if you're looking for something that I would describe as a bit off the beaten path, then Supraland might be the one for you. 30% off until September the 9th, and that download size of 4.6 gigs. Then we've got City Skylines. Now, the first things first, if you have another platform, it needs to be played there. But if you don't, and you can take a bit of, well, the visuals aren't great and the performance is okay, then you'll still get a good time out of City Skylines. Personally, I love this style of game. I think it's so rewarding building up your city. Yes, the bigger it gets, it does introduce some lags and things like that. But as I say, if you're from the old 486 days, you'll know all about this and it won't bother you at all. It's currently 75% off in the US regions. That's down to $9.99, and you can just build a massive working city. It's really enjoyable. Glen's got a review of it. You're looking at about 60 to infinite hours of gameplay, and if you're a fan of these types of games, I think you'll have a good time. That goes on until September the 17th. Last up this week then, we've got Abzu. I absolutely love this. It's so relaxing. You dive beneath the ocean and you're on for about a 3 or 4 hour adventure. So if that sounds appealing, then this might be for you. It's very similar to things like Journey, and it's all about that experience. Don't expect like difficult gameplay or anything challenging. There is a storyline underneath everything, and I personally just found it a real delight to play. We do have a review of this on the channel as well if you're interested, but you do need to know what you're going into. I think this is one that Glen doesn't really enjoy. It's not really his style, but I enjoy these walk-in simulators, except this is a swimming one. 1.3 gigs, and that sale goes on until September the 10th. That's all for this week. I just do not have the capacity to talk about 2 games that I don't like, because man, it's been a crap day and I do not need those negative vibes. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it. We really appreciate everyone that's subscribed and enjoys the content, and once again, big up to Grandad, you absolute legend. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!